Good evening and welcome to the Monday Review Show. I'm coming to you from a different studio tonight. Um, this is where we discuss all things refereeing, controversies. I'm sure people come along with their ideas of what the referee should or should not have done during the Euros, which are currently on at the moment. Now there have been one or two, not too many, thankfully, controversial decisions by the referees. I have to say they've been doing quite well. A couple of them I'm just going to discuss tonight. And incidentally, I won't have Keith Hackett with me tonight. Keith, unfortunately, couldn't make it at the last minute. And he was celebrating his birthday the other day. So we wish him every success and hope he has many, many more birthdays along the way. Now, the one instance that came up the other day was about the goal that was disallowed between Holland and Spain. Was it? Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember the other team, but the Dutch goal was disallowed. You may remember it was a strike from just outside the penalty area. Now, there was a Dutch defender standing almost next to the goalkeeper, about a meter away, I suppose, about a meter away, yeah. And it went to a VAR check. Initially, the assistant referee, the linesman, he put his flag up, and the referee then got a signal in his ear from the VAR guy. The referee was Anthony Taylor, by the way, of England, and he got a whisper in his ear from Stuart Atwell, who was the VAR guy, video assistant referee. And he said, you need to have a look at this. The assistant referee has put his flag up for offside. Perhaps you better have a look at it. Now, Anthony Taylor did not go to the screen to have a look. And perhaps this is where the mistake happened. I will give you my opinion and the opinion of Keith Hackett as well shortly. But they thought about it and they thought about it, and the VAR guy checked it and rechecked it. And all the time, people were waiting. Now, one of the big problems with VAR is the fact that it takes far too long. And this only appears, and I say appears, it only appears to be when there are English referees involved. And I have to stress right now, this is not a criticism of English referees or any referees, because we were there, Keith and I. We know what it's like to referee, and any referee who's out there listening will know what it's like to be a referee. It's not an easy job, if you want to call it that. We do the best we can under the circumstances and at the time, and having viewed the situation in our instances before VAR once and once only, and you make a decision based on that. So the decision was made eventually, and I say eventually, after quite a long time, to disallow the goal. Now, no matter what happened with the decision, it was going to cause controversy, no matter what happened. If it was disallowed, the Dutch team, the Netherlands team will complain. If the goal was allowed, the other team would complain that the player was offside. Now, there was a player offside. Now, let me quote you the law on offside, which is Law 11. Law 11, and I may be paraphrasing a little bit, says that 3 instances for you to be deemed to be offside. And remember, before we start, it is not an offense to be in an offside position. It is not an offense. You can be offside and not causing an offense. To cause an offense, you have to be interfering with play, interfering with an opponent, or seeking to gain an advantage by being in that situation. Now, issues 1 and 2 do not come into it, because there was no interference with play and there was no interference with an opponent. Now, some will argue against that, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Was he seeking to gain an advantage? Perhaps, but that's only in the case where he the ball would come to him, the player who was in an offside position, and he played it and put it into the net. In this instance, the player stood straight, never budged, never moved. So how was he interfering with play? Right, I hear you saying he was interfering with the keeper or the keeper's line, or the keeper was conscious that he was there. Nonsense. Nonsense. The keeper never moved. If you check out the video again, the keeper never moved. And you might say the player was in his way. He couldn't have been. How many times did we see the goalkeeper coming out at an attacker's feet? Is that player interfering? The attacker? In this instance, he could have dived to the left. If he had dived to the left and crashed into the Dutch player who was standing there, then you could say, yes, he was interfering with the goalkeeper trying to make a save. But he never moved. And neither did the attacker move. And at one time, if a player was offside, way out on the left, and the ball was played to the right, that player way out on the left used to be flagged offside. And then they narrowed it down and narrowed it down and narrowed it down and narrowed it down to the extent now that you can be in an offside position between the uprights. You can be and still be not interfering with play. And how many times have we seen that happen, where players are in that situation, literally between the uprights, the goals, in an offside position over there, and the ball goes in over there, the goal is allowed, and rightly so, because the player was not deemed to be interfering with play. In this instance, both Keith and I fully agree with this, and I've had lots and lots of messages and lots of people asking me, what about this, what about that? The situation is that the keeper made no attempt to play the ball, none whatsoever. He stood there. Now, whether that player who was in an offside position had moved or not moved, the keeper still did not move to try and save the ball, because he knew he was well and truly beaten. So the goal, in my opinion, and in Keith's opinion, should have stood, but it didn't. And Anthony Taylor ruled it out for offside. He was wrong. That's my opinion. And I'm sure you'll disagree with me, and some will agree with me. And please keep your comments coming into the show, and keep your comments coming on Facebook, and I will do my best to get around to answering as many of the questions as I can. I had a question during the week on foul throws. Forgive me now, I can't remember who sent in the question, but it was mentioned about foul throws. And you're absolutely right. I can't remember. Just if you could just contact the show, tell me who you are and why you think there were foul throws. There were, and there are. Now, for a throw to be taken correctly and legally, the ball must come from over your head, from the back of your head, from about there. It must leave your hands about there. If you pull it forward to here and the ball is still in your hands, that's a foul throw. So with your hands, it must go from here, and the vast majority of players do take the throw in correctly. The other part is that part of both feet must be on or outside the field of play. Remembering the lines, Law 1 on the field of play, including the lines belong to the areas of which they are boundaries. So the lines around the penalty area, that 18-yard or whatever it is now in meters, the old 18-yard line, the lines that mark out the penalty area belong to the penalty area. The same with the touch line that runs from one corner flag to the other corner flag, and the same with the goal line, which runs from one corner flag right across the actual goal mouth itself and to the other corner flag. That's the goal line, the one along the touch line, as we call it. If that ball runs on that line, that ball is still in play, because the lines belong to the area of which they are boundaries. So if a player gets fouled on the 18-yard line, if it's on the 18-yard line and he gets fouled, that is a penalty kick or a free kick to the other side, whichever way you want to look at it. So the lines belong to the areas of which they are boundaries. So to take a proper throw-in, part of both feet must be on or outside the field of play. As soon as you lift your feet and lift your heels, you are on the field of play, and that is a foul throw. The other thing with the ball running along that touch line, the whole of the ball, not the part that touches the ground, the whole of that ball must be outside the field of play for it to be out of play. And many times I've seen assistant referees, or linesmen as we used to call them, and they're flagging ball out of play when the ball runs along the line. That is not correct. That is not correct. It must be, excuse me, it must be the whole of the ball. The whole of the ball must be outside the field of, outside that line for that ball to be out of play. So just recap on that. The ball comes from the back of the head this way. And by the way, you must be facing the way that you're throwing. You cannot do that. You cannot throw a ball that, you cannot be facing the field of play and suddenly throw the ball down the line. You've got to be facing the way you are throwing the ball. Comes from behind the head with part of both feet on or outside the field of play. There was an incident last week as well where there was so-called snickle, a snickle goal. Oh, sorry, handball. Snickle, handball. What does that mean? It's very similar to those of you who watch cricket. They have that edge, you know, if the ball hits the edge and it shows, did it make contact with the bat? So you get this little, like an electricity signal going along. It's called a snickle. Now, in this instance, the player had moved his hand. Some say he was moving his hands in a forward motion as he was running. Some say no, he deliberately touched the ball with his hand, and the snickle proved that the ball did make contact with the hand. A goal had been scored from that, but it was disallowed because it was deemed to have been handball by this new system, snickle. And are we getting more and more technical nowadays with snickles and heaven knows what, you know. Now that we're into the knockout stages of the competition, or almost, I think the last remaining games are played tonight or tomorrow night, we will then, some referees will be released, sent home, and some will be retained. Incidentally, the referee on that snickle one was a guy called Hamil Meyer from Turkey, whom I thought had an excellent game. The snickle issue caused quite a bit of controversy, to the extent that I thought, this has been put in now by our famous soccer politicians, as I call them, who will hang the referee out to dry just to appease the big clubs. But thankfully, he has been retained so far, and got a second game the other night, and did very, very well. Good referee, very good referee, as well as others. I mean, there's young referee Nyberg from Sweden, also very, very good. Marciniak, the referee who did the Champions League and the World Cup final last year from Poland, he's been involved quite a bit as well, and he had an excellent game as well. So far, the referees are doing very well, but sadly, it would appear the only ones that are involved in any kind of controversy appear to be the English referees, and Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor are the English referees. I'm talking about the referees involved in the middle. There are other English referees like Stuart Atwell who are doing VAR work and not in the middle. So hopefully things will pick up now. The games, because we're coming into the knockout stages shortly, that it will be straight knockout. There's no more, if you like, on a league basis where they will get 3 points for a win and 1 for a draw and so on. This will be straight knockout. So that will be starting very, very shortly. Now, Keith is not with me tonight, as I mentioned. I hope you enjoy this little exercise on the laws of the game, as well as on clarification on certain issues that happened that caused quite a bit of controversy, and there was a lot on social media about it, and I got a lot of emails as well looking for clarification, and I'm quite happy to offer that clarification at any time. If you feel you'd like to know something more about the laws of the game, or you'd like to get better clarification on certain incidents or controversies that crop up now and again, please feel free to email me or to send to my Facebook account, or even to this one here, every Monday night, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Monday night, Monday review show, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Shortened version this week because my good friend Keith wasn't available tonight, and I hope he enjoys his night off. I do really, really appreciate his contribution every week to the show. So I'll end on that and leave it, and the games are still going on in the Euros, and I hope you're enjoying them. So until next Monday night, same time, 8 o'clock UK Irish time. Until then, good night and God bless. Thank you.